We start the day's other headlines in Gaza, where health authorities say Israeli strikes and gunfire killed at least 46 people overnight and into today, many of them while seeking aid. The latest violence comes as U.S. envoy Steve Witkoff heads to Israel after ceasefire talks appeared to stall last week. International airdrops of food continued today. Many people said they couldn't reach the aid boxes because of the crowds. Israel started allowing some more food and supplies into Gaza a few days ago. The Israeli military says it's implementing changes that had been recommended by the UN-backed group that monitors hunger. But humanitarian groups say it's not enough. Gaza's Hamas-run health ministry reported another 7 malnutrition-related deaths in the last day, including a child. Also today, Canada's Prime Minister Mark Carney said his country will recognize a Palestinian state at the UN's General Assembly in September if certain conditions are met. Carney's announcement comes after a similar move by British leader Keir Starmer a day earlier as leaders scramble to address the growing hunger crisis in Gaza. Back in this country, investigators are still piecing together why a 27-year-old man from Las Vegas carried out New York City's deadliest mass shooting in 25 years. Police said today that Shane Tamura bought the assault rifle used in the attack from his supervisor at a Las Vegas casino for $1,400. They also say he left behind a suicide note in his Nevada apartment, as well as antipsychotic prescription medication. Tamura shot and killed 4 people at a Midtown office building on Monday before killing himself. Today, loved ones paid tribute to the victims, alongside the city's Democratic nominee for mayor, Zoran Mamdani. The younger brother of slain security officer Alain Etienne called him a hero.
He didn't wear no cape. He didn't have any fancy gears. He wore a security officer uniform. And I hope this is the last time a family members, a wife, a mother, a daughter has to stand in front of the press for another situation like this.
Last night, faith leaders and city officials joined mourners at a vigil in Bryant Park. New York City Mayor Eric Adams and Governor Kathy Hochul offered words of support and called for nationwide gun reform. Former Vice President Kamala Harris announced today that she is not running for California governor next year. In a statement, Harris said she had given serious thought to running, but in the end decided, quote, "For now, my leadership and public service will not be in elected office." Harris would have entered a crowded field to replace Governor Gavin Newsom, who is restricted from running for another term. Prior to being vice president, Harris represented California in the U.S. Senate and served as the state's attorney general. In Texas, Republican lawmakers unveiled a proposed congressional map today that could help the GOP win more seats in next year's midterm elections. It comes amid pressure from President Trump to redraw districts as Republicans face headwinds in 2026. The Republicans currently hold 25 of the state's 38 congressional seats. The new map would make it possible to pick up 5 more. Most of the changes target big cities, which are the few Democratic strongholds in the state. GOP members introduced the map during a 30-day special session of the state legislature. The effort has led to threats by Democrats in California and New York to redraw their own state maps. Brown University says it struck a deal with the Trump administration to restore federal research funding that's been frozen since April. The deal will also end some investigations into alleged discrimination at the Ivy League school. Unlike a similar deal involving Columbia University, Brown will not pay a fine and won't have to bring in an outside monitor. But it conceded to some demands, including a commitment to remove race as a consideration in the admissions process. And the school agreed to pay $50 million in workforce development grants in Rhode Island. President Trump's former defense attorney is preparing for a new role as a federal appeals court judge following his Senate confirmation. Emil Bovee was approved by a 50-49 vote in the lifetime seat, despite whistleblower complaints stemming from his time at the Justice Department. Democrats have also criticized his role in dismissing the corruption case against New York City Mayor Eric Adams, along with efforts to investigate Justice Department officials who prosecuted those involved in the January 6th attack. Bovee will serve on the 3rd U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, which hears cases from Delaware, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. Federal investigators say the Army helicopter that collided with a passenger plane in Washington, D.C. earlier this year was flying higher than it should have been, and that its altitude reading was off by as much as 100 feet. The revelations came on the first day of hearings by the National Transportation Safety Board. 67 people were killed in that January crash, making it the nation's deadliest such incident since 2001. Army officials said the Blackhawk's faulty meter was actually within the acceptable margin of error. But NTSB Chair Jennifer Homendy told reporters that discrepancy was significant.
We calculated that the margin of error was 75 feet from the glide slope at the greatest part of the glide slope to the east bank of the Potomac, and then it goes down from there as you go towards runway 33. So a 100-foot difference is significant.
The board has 2 more days of hearings planned, but won't release its final report until next year. NASA teamed up with India's space agency to launch a satellite today that can track changes in the Earth's land and ice regions.
3, 2, 1, 0.
Scientists say the $1.3 billion mission will help forecasters and first responders prepare for natural disasters. It's the biggest space collaboration between the two countries. Separately, a rocket in Australia went up, or rather down, in smoke today. The Iris rocket crashed after just 14 seconds of flight. It was the first such craft to be designed and made entirely in Australia. Nobody was hurt, and the company's CEO said he was, quote, happy with the attempt. On Wall Street today, stocks struggled amid concerns that the chances of a September interest rate cut are fading. The Dow Jones Industrial Average slipped more than 170 points. The Nasdaq managed a slight gain of around 30 points. The S&P 500 shed about 8 points on the day. And there's been a unique trade in Major League Baseball. The Baltimore Orioles traded relief pitcher Seranthony Dominguez to the Toronto Blue Jays for a minor league player, and they did it in between games of a doubleheader between the two teams. Dominguez says he was told to, quote, go to the next dugout. So you had scenes like this with Dominguez in the jacket in the top left, sitting in the bullpen above some of his former teammates. He ended up pitching in the second game for his new team, throwing a scoreless 7th inning and striking out 2 batters. And in the UK today, thousands paid tribute to the late heavy metal icon Ozzy Osbourne. A band performing the Black Sabbath classic Iron Man led a funeral procession through Osbourne's hometown of Birmingham. His family viewed the flowers and other tributes at a bridge named in the band's honor. Osbourne's wife of 43 years, Sharon, was visibly shaken as fans showed their support. The television personality waved the peace sign back at fans. Known to many as the Prince of Darkness, Ozzy Osbourne died last week at the age of 76. Still to come on the NewsHour, the impact of drastic Medicaid cuts included in the GOP's big tax and spending law. Colorado's Attorney General investigates possible law enforcement coordination with federal immigration authorities. And a new study details simple lifestyle changes that could help prevent dementia.
This is the PBS NewsHour from the David M. Rubenstein studio at WETA in Washington, and in the West from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism at Arizona State University.